Strategies to deal with a narcissist and save yourself, according to Dr. Phil. How do I deal with these people? It's a question whispered in therapists' offices, shouted in late-night frustration, and scribbled across countless online forums. How do I live with a narcissist? How do I recognize one? How do I survive them? The answer, though hard to accept, is this. You cannot fix a narcissist, and trying to will only destroy your sense of peace. Many have tried, armed with empathy and optimism, only to emerge drained, disoriented, and convinced that they somehow failed. But psychologists agree this is not your failure. It is the nature of narcissism itself. When I was younger, full of conviction that compassion could heal anyone, I too believed I could save the narcissist. I thought if I just loved harder, listened deeper, explained better, they would see, they would change. But psychologists warn that this is one of the most seductive illusions of empathy. As Dr. Ramani Durvasula notes, trying to fix a narcissist is like pouring love into a bottomless pit. It vanishes into the void, never to return. Healing someone who doesn't recognize their own illness is impossible. Narcissism exists in the blind spot of the psyche, and that blindness is what keeps it alive. Many people ask, but why are they like this? Were they born that way? Psychology doesn't give us one simple answer. Theories abound, and they often trace back to the extremes of childhood experience. Some narcissists are the products of excessive adoration. As Dr. Phil once said, they were carried on a satin pillow. These children were treated as though the world revolved around them. Every need met, every flaw overlooked. In developmental psychology, this kind of parenting creates what's called pathological entitlement, the belief that one is inherently superior and therefore exempt from ordinary rules of empathy and accountability. Such individuals grow up expecting the same deference from everyone else, and when life doesn't comply, they rage, manipulate, or punish until it does. But there's another path to narcissism, its darker twin. Psychodynamic theorists like Heinz Kohut and Otto Kernberg have long described narcissism as a defense against early humiliation or neglect. Some children are so profoundly unseen or mistreated that they build an emotional armor of grandiosity just to survive. Their arrogance is a disguise for terror. "I'll hurt you before you can hurt me" becomes their unconscious motto. As Dr. Carol McBride writes, the narcissist's inflated self is not confidence, it's camouflage. In their mind, superiority equals safety. If they stay above everyone else, they can never be abandoned or shamed again. Understanding these roots may soften your anger for a moment. It may even evoke compassion. But psychologists warn that understanding should never become justification. Dr. Judith Orloff, a psychiatrist specializing in empath-narcissist dynamics, reminds survivors, empathy does not mean access. You can understand why they are the way they are and still choose to protect yourself. Compassion can explain behavior, but it cannot cure it, and it certainly cannot erase the harm they cause when unchecked. The grim truth is that narcissistic personality disorder carries one of the lowest prognoses for recovery. Unlike anxiety or depression, conditions driven by distress and therefore open to change, narcissism rarely brings the sufferer pain, at least not the kind that inspires introspection. Their pain is externalized. It's always your fault. In therapy, progress begins with acknowledgement, and as countless psychologists emphasize, you can't change what you refuse to see. A narcissist's core delusion is that they are not broken, the world is. To them, their grandiosity isn't dysfunction. It's proof of superiority. When psychologists work with narcissistic clients, they often describe a haunting paradox. These individuals crave admiration but fear authenticity. They yearn to be loved but cannot tolerate equality. They demand closeness but are repelled by vulnerability. It's as if their emotional architecture was built upside down. Dr. Craig Malkin, author of Rethinking Narcissism, explains that their self-image is like a shattered mirror. Every interaction is a desperate attempt to piece it together using reflections from others. But since no one's reflection is perfect, everyone becomes disposable. So what does this mean for you, the one who loves, lives with, or works alongside them? It means letting go of the fantasy that your kindness will transform them. As trauma psychologists remind us, Love cannot reparent a disordered psyche. Only sustained self-awareness, accountability, and long-term therapy could ever do that. And even then, only if the narcissist truly wants to change, which most do not. Instead, the work belongs to you. Your healing begins when you stop trying to fix what was never yours to mend. Recognize that your urge to repair them often comes from your own empathy and possibly your trauma conditioning. The belief that love must earn peace. Psychologists recommend redirecting that instinct inward. The energy once spent managing their chaos can now nurture your own recovery. Boundaries become your medicine. Distance becomes your therapy. Clarity becomes your closure. The narcissist will tell you that you are the problem, that you are overreacting, that you are weak. But the truth, confirmed by countless therapists and survivors, is that walking away from a narcissist is not weakness. It is psychological rebirth. It's the moment you stop orbiting their fantasy and start living in your reality. So, can a narcissist change? In theory, yes. In practice, rarely. Because to change, they would have to face the one thing they fear most: the emptiness beneath the mask. Until that day, let them live in the illusion they've chosen. Your job is not to wake them up. It's to wake yourself up and walk away. Narcissists don't have a to-do list. They have no structured plan for self-improvement, no conscious checklist of goals that leads them toward emotional growth. Why? Because in their distorted psychological reality, there is nothing to fix. Their behaviors, no matter how cruel, manipulative, or self-serving, are, in their eyes, working just fine. Psychologists describe this as egocentric thinking, when one's destructive patterns feel right and necessary rather than problematic. To the narcissist, every insult is justified, every lie is self-defense, and every manipulation is simply a means of survival. So if you cannot change them, and every expert agrees that you cannot, then the question becomes, how do you live in a world with them without losing yourself? The answer begins with a kind of emotional armor, the capacity to set boundaries so firm and sacred that their chaos can no longer reach your core. Because without boundaries, their gravity will pull you down into what trauma therapists call the narcissistic vortex, a psychological sinkhole where your energy, your confidence, your very sense of reality begins to disintegrate. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, one of the foremost experts on narcissism, warns that once you start defining your self-worth through a narcissist's approval, you've handed them the controls to your identity. And this is exactly what they crave: control over how you see yourself. Narcissists thrive on what psychologists call leveling behavior. In their fragile world, equality feels threatening. You cannot be confident, secure, or at peace while they are near, because your inner calm is proof of something they cannot access: emotional stability. So they level the field by cutting you down. They may belittle your success, mock your dreams, or subtly sow self-doubt, anything to remind you that you are never above them. This dynamic is one of the most psychologically exhausting patterns of all. Every time you start to feel good about yourself, they move the emotional goalpost. Clinical psychologist Dr. Craig Malkin explains that narcissists live in constant fear of what he calls narcissistic injury, the unbearable sense of being inferior or ordinary. To avoid that pain, they must ensure that others never outshine them. So your happiness, your confidence, your inner peace, they can't stand it. It burns them like sunlight to a vampire. And rather than seek healing, they'll simply dim your light to make the world tolerable again. This is why boundaries are not just self-care, they are survival. They are your declaration that you will no longer be an emotional hostage. Setting boundaries means refusing to engage when provoked, refusing to defend yourself against distortions, and refusing to let them dictate your emotional weather. The moment you stop reacting, you interrupt their power supply. Narcissists need emotional energy, positive or negative, to sustain their ego. Starve them of that energy, and you begin to reclaim your freedom. But this is easier said than done, especially when the narcissist begins their most insidious tactic: gaslighting. The term, coined from the 1944 film Gaslight, describes the psychological manipulation where someone makes you question your memory, perception, or sanity. Psychologists define gaslighting as systematic invalidation, and it's one of the narcissist's favorite weapons. When caught in a lie, they'll twist reality until you wonder if you're the one who's delusional. You'll hear familiar phrases: I didn't say that. You're too sensitive. Why are you making such a big deal out of nothing? What's wrong with you? Each phrase is a small incision into your confidence, a cut so subtle that you bleed slowly. Over time, victims begin to internalize the narcissist script. Psychologist Dr. Robin Stern, who coined the term the gaslight effect, notes that chronic gaslighting erodes self-trust. Victims start to ask, maybe it is me. Maybe I'm too emotional. Maybe I overreact. Once that seed of doubt is planted, the narcissist has complete psychological control. To protect yourself, mental health professionals recommend a strategy called reality anchoring. It means consciously grounding yourself in objective truth. Writing down events, keeping emotional journals, or sharing your experiences with a trusted therapist or friend who can validate your reality when the narcissist tries to rewrite it. The key is remembering that confusion is not a sign of your weakness. It's evidence of their manipulation. Dr. Ramani often reminds survivors, your clarity is their kryptonite. The moment you stop explaining, stop defending, and stop taking their bait, you remove the mirror that reflects their delusions. They can no longer use you to maintain their illusion of superiority. So when they start spinning their usual lines, when they tell you, you're too sensitive, or you're imagining things, pause, take a breath. Recall this very moment, this lesson, this truth. You are not the problem. What you're witnessing is a person at war with their own emptiness, trying desperately to make you fight their battle for them. And you don't have to. As every trauma-informed therapist will tell you, your power lies not in fixing them, but in refusing to join their chaos. Let them drown in the storm they created. You, on the other hand, can choose peace, boundaries, and healing, the quiet revolution that every survivor of narcissistic abuse deserves.